9 months. And it's completely appropriate that I've been representing you for 9 months at Queen's Park, because we have birthed a vision for an entire new Ontario in that 9 months in Parkdale High Park. Absolutely. And I have to say that when I heard all these wonderful things about me from all of these people that I love dearly and that represent different aspects of my life up here, it felt a little like my funeral was in process. Except that I certainly hope that when my funeral's in process, I'm not in as hot a place. So, what have we done in 9 months? Here's what we've done. To make it short and make it simple, we have put poverty back on the agenda at Queen's Park. That's what we've done, you and I. And it wouldn't have happened without all of you out there. It wouldn't have happened without that by-election win. So thank you all for that. Thank you. And thank you for sending me there so that I could bring in some amazing resolutions and bills. And a number of them come to mind. The last one that really sort of jumps out at me, and I want to thank my staff around this, Tim and Gregor and Laurel, and particularly Rowena Santos for all the hard work. But the last bill that I brought before the House was a bill to limit loan sharking in our community, limit payday lenders to a 35% interest rate when they're normally charging 300 to 800%. And I thank you for allowing me to do that. And after October the 10th, watch me. That's going to be a law. And after October the 10th, watch me. We're going to get gender identity as part of the Human Rights Code here. And watch me, after October the 10th, we're going to have internationally trained professionals treated as they should be treated. And we're going to get the $40 in Queen's Park. We're going to honor them after October the 10th. And after October the 10th, we're going to work to get 20,000 units of affordable housing actually built. Actually built. Not just promised, actually built. And after October the 10th, we're going to end the clawback of the National Child Supplement. That will give an extra $122 to the poorest children in our neighborhood immediately, not in 5 years. And you know, when was it? September 15th, when I stood before a crowd, a number of faces I recognized from this crowd were in that crowd, and I said, this government, the McGuinty Liberals, used everything they had, and trust me, it came from the top level down, right from the cabinet ministers, to smear me, to destroy my family, to destroy my career, and to destroy the poorest among us. Because, you know, I've got broad shoulders, but what was really sad about that smear campaign was that what they, in a sense, said is that those children out there that live with trauma, that live on the street, that there's no hope for them. And what I say to Mr. McGuinty is that you're the one that should be worried now. There's no hope for you. I said, and they did not prevail. And now I can say, 9 months later, brothers and sisters, you prevailed. My darling husband Gil prevailed, and Peggy Nash prevailed, and Irene Atkinson prevailed, and Paul Ferreira prevailed, and Michael Lewis prevailed, and Norman prevailed, and Shannon prevailed, and all of you prevailed. We won, brothers and sisters, an incredible victory with a $10 minimum wage campaign, because now we're just arguing about when and not if. That's So, how sweet it is, said Marvin Gaye, to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. And trust yourselves, you're loved right back at you, all of you. You are loved. And I stand here and I look out at all of you. You know, I know so many of your stories. I've seen how hard you've worked. I've seen what you've given and what you've gifted. I've seen everything that you stand for. And I want a special shout out to our union brothers and sisters and all the work they did on that campaign. Thank you, Cheri. Thank you. And thank you, by the way, a group that was not mentioned, to the West End Angels, Rowena, the other Rowena. Thank you. You're the ones that brought me in the first place. Because as a United Church minister, I kept bumping my head up against that wall. The wall that just wouldn't give way. All for those small business people, artists, because let's hear it for the active person. We also tabled staff and artists. You know, that wall that wouldn't give away for those working families across this province that really just want what's decent, what's right, what's ethical, what's principled, and finally, just what's fair. So this way, we actually get to raise some hell at Queen's Park, don't we now? Don't we now? And a few last things. I didn't bring in these resolutions, but boy, have we been working hard for you on these issues. We've been working hard on the environment because we're the only party, the New Democratic Party, that stands against $40 billion on nuclear reactors. The only party. The only party that calls for closing and now. Not then, not someday, not never, but now. We're the only party. We're the only party that calls for a community right to know. Now, not again, someday, never. And if you want a promise for good transit for Dalton McGuinty, wouldn't you prefer actually action on transit from the New Democratic Party? Wouldn't you prefer that? Over there. What about education? We need to immediately freeze post-secondary tuition fees. We need to do that immediately, and we need to immediately fix the funding formula. I mean, we need to immediately fund our schools. We are And what about health care? You know, we need a government that doesn't take autistic children's parents to court and spend millions of dollars trying to do so. We need a provincial government that spends those millions of dollars on autistic kids. That's what we need. We don't need a healthcare system where the rich jump to the head of the line. We don't need a healthcare system where you get to go to Buffalo if you're rich and you have to stay here and wait if you're poor. And, you know, you can't afford the medication, you don't get the medication. We need a fully funded healthcare system. That's what we need. That's what we need, and we need it October the 11th. And you know what we get? And I'm a small business person in my background. We sometimes get this pushback from corporations and small business. Well, how are you going to pay for all that? Well, I'll tell you that the New Democratic Party has the best fiscal record of any provincial governments ever. We are the best party at balancing budgets. Check your history books. Check it out. Look at Manitoba. You'll see I'm right. That's a fact. So don't let them snow you. Don't let them snow you. And sometimes, you know, I think when we talk about what should be the minimum wage, we might want to talk to ourselves about what should be the maximum wage. You know? I don't know about you, but the average CEO now makes $9 million a year. And I think that's a little bit too much. So, what do we need? We need a victory here, sisters and brothers. We need a victory like no other victory except perhaps that last one. And we need you to make that victory happen. We need you all out. And trust me, it will be a thrill to work with you yet again. Because if there's one thing I know about you, you represent all of those aspects that drew me here in the first place. Again, integrity, ethics, values, principles, and finally, just what's fair. Let's go get them.